about 20% of the entire energy for your body to run. And it also takes 20% of the necessary oxygen in your body to function. And that's huge. And you're going to see that the vascular system, which is your oxygen supply and your blood supply, is intricately linked to your lymphatic system. If you have a cardiovascular low oxygen output problem in your body, you are absolutely going to have a lymphatic problem at the same time, because the two go hand in hand like yin and yang. So you're going to see that this stuff that I'm going to show you amplifies and has a positive effect on whatever else you're doing right now to help yourself. And that's what we call a win-win. So a term I like to use often is that you're not broken, you're just toxic. Because the body, its job is to heal itself. You get stress on your body from life and from your environment. And we need stress. Stress causes inflammation. Your body is supposed to be able to heal and adapt from that inflammation so it can become more resilient, it can become stronger, so you can go harder, faster, stronger, longer. The problem happens when we're unable to heal from the inflammation. And the lymphatic system, in my opinion, is the most important and the most neglected system in order to do that for you. Because you'll see in a moment that there's lymphatic vessels actually in your brain. That's very cool, because up until just a short while ago, they didn't think that you actually had lymphatic vessels in your brain. And then lo and behold, they found some. So now that actually explains a lot, because inflammation in the brain is where all of these health issues, particularly autoimmune diseases, start. And some of the biggest things that you'll notice when you start to get inflammation in the brain is brain fog, forgetfulness, fatigue, tiredness, lethargy. You'll actually start to get really highly emotional at things, typically in a response via fight or flight, which means you become very combative, you become angry, and you flip your lid at the drop of a hat. All those kind of primal reflexes that happen when the body's under threat, and particularly the brain. And when we work the lymph, and I show you some really cool stuff, honestly, it's just amazing how you're going to feel when we do it. So another thing that I talk about often is the environment that we live in, right? So if your body could talk, if it wants to have a conversation with you, first of all, pain is that request for a conversation. Pain is a request for change, to change something in your life, change something that you're doing, or change something that you're not doing. It's this: you cannot get well in the same environment you became ill within. You cannot get well in the same environment you became ill within. So if you don't take care of the internal body environment, which we call the aquarium, which is where all of the cells of your body sit, they're going to be sitting in and bathed in what we call interstitial fluid, and that's controlled by the lymphatic system. But I want to share my story of how I came to this journey before we get into it. Well, I run an office called Stop Chasing Pain up here in New Jersey, and I'm all about treating pain but not chasing it. And very often we just go down all these rabbit holes trying to treat where it hurts, forgetting that the body is an interconnected system. You can't separate body parts, and you can't separate systems, which I'm going to show you the primary systems in a moment, because the body and the brain don't understand parts. That's a man-made way for us to understand and try to put the body together and try to come to some grasp of what we're doing with it. But the body doesn't know its brain is different from its foot. They're just parts, and you have to look at the whole. So the most important thing to remember is that pain only tells you there is a problem. It does not tell you what it is. But I'm going to tell you this much, though. All health-related issues start with inflammation. And the very first place that you're going to get inflammation is in the brain, and the first joint away from the brain, which is your skull, sitting on top of your spine on a bone called your atlas. So in the brain is where you get inflammation first. So if you want to have a positive effect on helping pain anywhere. Say, doc, I hurt in my pinky toe, and nobody's been able to figure out why my pinky toe hurts. What I want you to do is I want you to start doing what I'm going to show you in a moment, where you're going to affect the lymph around the brain and around the neck, because it's going to feed forward. It's going to, remember, force multiply to help everything else that you're trying to treat or that you're already doing, right? So about 5 years ago, I became really, really sick, just kind of out of nowhere, which happens to a lot of people. My body turned on itself. I got, quote unquote, an autoimmune disease. I got tired. I got fatigued. I actually had to leave practice. I couldn't teach anymore. I got brain fog. I mean, I could barely remember my own name. I had to go through several surgeries as well because of that. And then the surgeries, the stress of not finding any answers made me even worse. And I knew there had to be an answer. I mean, why did my body all of a sudden start to do this? And then why does my brain feel like it's checked out? That led me to find work about the lymphatic system, because it's the one system, honestly, that I really wasn't paying attention to, that I really wasn't looking at. And I'm in the healthcare field, and I didn't even know to look at that. And I can't blame anyone for not really looking at it, because you don't know what you don't know. But when I started to investigate more, it was really shocking to me how little the medical community actually pays to the lymphatic system, and how much time they actually spend learning about it and how to treat it. So what I'm going to show you today is going to put you ahead of the pack of everybody else. And remember, it's designed to accentuate and accelerate. So I call it an accelerant for everything else that you're already doing. So where do I start when I begin to look at the body? So the body is a functional unit working together. And in my work as a chiropractor, obviously I take care of neck pain, back pain, musculoskeletal pain, they call it. But I want you to see where those lie in this hierarchy that I call it, of what your body pays attention to as most important to itself when it's trying to stay healthy and survive. 8 and 9 is the bottom of the scale. So for most of my career, I went after 8 and 9. I really wasn't looking at anything else. But now through my work, this is how I look at the body. I look at emotion first, which to me is the brain, because that's where you register feeling. That's where you register sensation. That's how you take in your environment and you perceive your environment. And then that hence creates your habits, which are your behaviors. And we also get inflammation in the brain. We get excess tension from stress from how we perceive our environment. And we get a syndrome called TMS. TMS stands for tension myoneural syndrome. It's a big fancy word that means when you hold yourself stiff and you hold yourself tight, you decrease blood flow, you decrease oxygen into your body, and you actually decrease breathing. So you don't breathe efficiently. So you'll see later that there's only two things that move your lymphatic system and deliver a lot of oxygen into your body: breathing and human movement. So when we can focus on those two things, and I'm going to even show you a third, you're going to start to notice a huge difference. But that difference is going to trickle down all the way to number 9, because what I try to explain to people is you can't get number 8 and 9 until you have 1 through 7 first. So there's always going to be a little piece of 1 through 9, but 1 is going to be the catalyst. The higher you up near the top, the bigger the trickle down effect has. So I can go after, say, your knee if your knee hurts, but I'm also going to go after number 1 and number 2 in particular. So number 2 is your lymphatic system, and you'll see with the lymphatic system, when we do that, that's going to have a positive carryover to your brain. It's going to go and help your gut, because your gut has lymphatics in it as well. And we already know, like I told you before, that the lymphatic system and the vascular system work together as one. So if there's a problem with one, there's the other. So with just about 5 minutes a day, you're going to make a huge difference on your overall health in the body. So I want you to remember this priority system. If anything hurts you lower between 8 and 9, I want you to work your way up to the top. And I'm going to show you today how you can just go after number 2 and make a difference for all of them. So what is your lymphatic system? Well, when you look at the lymphatic system here, what I want you to notice is how vast it is, right? And we're going to go over in much more detail about just how important it is. But you've got several big components of that. You've got your tonsils and what they call lymph nodes in your body. The majority of lymph nodes are actually in your neck. 1/3 of all the lymph nodes in your body are in your neck. So that's why we're going to focus just on the neck with what we're teaching you here. Through some of my other work, I go over the whole body, but we're only going to focus on that for your brain. Then you have your thymus gland, which sits right behind your sternum here. And the thymus gland is intricately linked to your immune system. And as you grow older, your thymus gland begins to shrink. And then you also have your spleen. Your spleen sits on the left-hand side of your rib cage, and the spleen is very important in its relationship to removing old, dead red blood cells from your body. So you'll discover if you have too many red blood cells in your body that are coagulated, they're thickened, then you don't have efficient oxygen delivery and oxygen supply to your body, in particular to the brain. And then you have Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches actually sit in your gut, particularly in your small intestine. And those guys are designed to prevent bacteria from leaking through your gut, going into your abdominal cavity and giving you sepsis or bacterial blood poisoning. So if your lymphatic system is backed up, then you can actually end up with a significant amount of gut problems. And the gut is related to your brain because it's called the gut-brain connection. They know that that's your second brain. Like if you ever had an intuition and you just feel it in your gut, that's where you feel it. And that stress in the gut, that tension in the gut, interferes with a very important neurotransmitter called serotonin, which is linked to depression and anxiety. So if we help the lymph, we're going to improve the delivery and the uptake of serotonin as well. And then, of course, you have your appendix, which is on the lower right side of your body, near your groin. And you have lymph nodes pretty much all over your body. And then you also have it coming from your bone marrow itself. So let's go over the system. One, it's colorless. So it doesn't have any color to it. It comes from the word lympha, meaning connected to water. So hydration is very, very, very important when you want to take care of your lymphatic system. So I tell people most of the time, my recommendation for water intake is 3 liters a day for men, 2.5 liters a day for women. Because when you are dehydrated, which most people are, that puts you in a chronic state of thickened body fluids, which decreases oxygenation and fluidity of movement. Your body cannot heal in a state of dehydration. Dehydration is a catalyst for chronic pain. So you got to drink up big time. If you don't drink enough water, you will never get your lymphatic system back to where it needs to be. It's considered the sewage system of your body. So I want you to think of a fish tank. If you ever see a fish tank and you got fish in there, the fish are your cells of your body, okay? And you need a filter on the fish tank, right? You put the filter in there, you have a delicate balance of chemicals that you put in there. So that's the electrochemical balance in your body. What happens if the filter goes kaflooey? The filter breaks and the water just sits there and it doesn't circulate. What happens is you start to get toxic water and everything in the water begins to die. So that's what happens to your cells. If you don't replenish the filter, then your cells become the fish, you become toxic, and then you become sick and you become ill. So what happens if I'm like, okay, well, let me just put some new fish in that sucker. Well, if you put some new fish in there and you don't fix the filter, what's going to happen to the next round of fish? Where they're going to die off as well. And that's what happens if you don't go to the root cause of something that is a catalyst for all this, and that's your lymphatic system. So except for cartilage, nails, and hair, your entire body is bathed in lymph. Everything, everything. You've got millions and millions of lymph nodes. Some are tiny, some are large, but you have about 700 big clusters of them. And clusters sit in primary areas around the side of your neck, along your armpit, and in your groin are some of the big ones. But the big takeaway is you've got 1/3 of them in your neck. Now, here's a startling fact. You've got over 15 liters of lymph in your body, only 5 liters of blood. So you got 3 times more lymph in your body than blood. So if we neglect the lymph, then you're going to have toxic blood. Toxic blood. It's a continuous looped system where it flows from bottom up. So the system goes, if I go back here, if you see the arrow, from the bottom of your feet up into the groin, up the trunk, up into the axilla. From your hands, it goes up into your neck. The brain drains down into your neck through what's called your subclavian veins, these big blue things that you see there. And then that takes back to the heart, and then it does a whole circle again. So it's a closed loop system that goes in and around your body, okay? But the whole body connects with it and works with it, okay? But the important thing is that it has to work its way from the bottom up. So what we're going to do is we want to clear the pathway here. We want to clear the pathway in the brain and clear the pathway in the neck, so whatever drains up from the bottom has a place to go back to the heart. So it's very important that we drain from the top down. If you place the lymph end to end, which is pretty cool, you're going to cover the distance in excess of 100,000 miles, which will circle the globe 4 times. Yes, the globe of the earth. There's a deep, deep connection to your immune system because of its relationship to, like I said, the spleen and the thymus gland from your white blood cells and your red blood cells, but also the gut. And we know that 70 to 80% of your immune system strength and function comes from the gut. You cannot have a brain problem without having a gut problem. The two go hand in hand. And you can't have a gut problem and you can't have a brain problem unless you have a lymphatic system problem. Okay? It's 90% water, 10% mixture of cellular waste, protein, and hormones. So the key there is agua, water, drink up. If that component gets off, then you're going to have more waste, protein, and thickening in that fluid. Fluid dynamics become dysfunctional. When that happens, you get pain. So what happens here is basically with this system that I want you to pay attention to is that your interstitial fluid and what we call the extracellular matrix is the living H2O. That's the fish tank. That's all these things you see here are floating around that are not colored in green, red, blue, or purple. So you have the lymphatic tissue here that you see that's in green, and it's going to work very closely with the capillary beds of your body and the veins of your body. And this is the interstitial fluid that I was telling you about. This is where the cells reside, and this is where they bathe. So the venous system, the veins, and the capillary beds, which is the arterial system, are really, really, really linked highly together. So if I want to improve everything here, what I'm going to need to do is improve removing the toxins from the interstitial fluid. And here's a really awesome picture of what they discovered with lymphatic vessels in the brain. Because they used to think that the lymph couldn't cross the, what they call the blood-brain barrier. So now if you look at the top here, that little green nodule, that's the lymphatic vessel that's in the dura mater in your head. So you can see this, and you've got blood vessel here, at how the neurons in the brain are going to be affected by your ability to drain inflammation and toxins away from the brain. And if the brain has a decrease in oxygen, it actually has to steal oxygen from other places. So what it'll do is it'll start to steal oxygen from your peripheral, from your arms and your legs first, and then it brings it more central into the body, close to the organs. And then what happens is it starts to pull from the organs up into the brain. Then the organs begin to suffer. Your central zone, your central, what we call your central core, begins to suffer because you also have inflammation there. And there reaches a point where your body just can't compensate anymore. And when it can't compensate and adapt anymore to stress, it lets you know that. The end stage, the way it knows you, is it sends you a ton of pain. Because here comes the pain, because I need you to change something. But there's subtle hints along the way before pain comes. That's tiredness, that's fatigue, that's lethargy, that's brain fog, that's emotion, that's depression, that's anxiety, that's joint stiffness and soreness, lack of range of motion, aches, pain, stuff, headaches, all those things that we just take as, well, that's life, right? But we're not supposed to feel that way. You don't realize how good you're supposed to feel until you feel good again. You embrace the misery because it has to become your new normal, because you just don't realize there's any other way to help yourself. And there really is a fantastic way to help yourself. And I'm going to show you exactly how you do that. So we're going to begin to work around the head and the neck to help you. Now, we're also going to have a positive effect on what's called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in your body. It actually runs along the side of your neck here on either side. And I want you to look at how the intricate system is on your body. It's going to influence your heart, liver, gut, brain, blood vessels, everything. And they're seeing that vagal nerve stimulation. When you stimulate the vagus nerve here, it actually helps with depression and anxiety, and it's going to put you into what they call more of a parasympathetic state. The parasympathetic state is the wine and dine relaxation ones. Because most of the time, we are just wired to the max. Life's coming at us. We're fight or flight. We're under stress. We're sympathetic. We're go, 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 right? And we don't even know how to turn the relaxation switch on. So when you can work around the lymph in your neck, which is easily congested, that's also going to cause inflammation around the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve won't have efficient signalization. Signalization is how the nerve, fires and wires from the brain down to the organs back up again. So you get adequate signalization. If that signalization, which is the frequency of firing of the nerve, becomes dysfunctional, where it can go slower or it can go faster, then you can lead to pain or discomfort. So let's get into what you can do to help yourself here. There are two things that move lymph. One is movement. So the more you move of yourself more often, the more lymphatic flow you get. And two is breathing. In particular, what they call diaphragmatic breathing. That's breathing from the diaphragm, which is a dome-shaped muscle. I'll move this dome-shaped muscle towards the bottom of your ribs here. So you breathe and expand through here, and also using more of your lungs. Most people breathe from the top of the lungs here, like this, from the top 2/3 here. They don't breathe from the bottom third, which is the lower part down low near the bottom of the rib cage and near the diaphragm. And what's interesting is that out of all the oxygen in your body, okay, the 2/3 of the oxygen from your lungs actually comes from the bottom third of your lungs. So if I can breathe more efficiently from low, I'm going to get more oxygen delivery through my body than if I just breathe through the top. So the idea is just to change where you're breathing from. We're going to try to breathe from lower, which I'm going to give you some cues on. And there's a third one, which for movement, it's just getting your body up and actually not sitting in a chair all the time. And when you're in pain or when you're in discomfort, it's hard to put yourself to move. But that's why I'm going to give you a few key things that you can do to help yourself. But I'm going to also help you move the lymph before you actually move your body. There's a very specific way that you're going to do these all together when we get started. So the first one I'm going to show you is a way that you're going to stimulate and release the lymph nodes in your neck and in your head. We're going to do that through stimulating different sensory input into your body. So we're going to work with the fascia of your body. We're going to work with muscles. We're going to work with joints, because remember, all those things are wrapped and bathed in lymphatic fluid. So the ones we're really going to go after, if you look down here on the bottom, are these things that we see called free nerve endings, Ruffini endings, Pacinian corpuscles, they call those, and some Golgi tendon organs. That's just the way your body senses the world, senses the environment. And why is that important? Well, because remember, the brain takes in information from the environment, which is sensory input. So if I can change the sensory input to the brain, I can therefore, i.e., change the output of the brain as well as a perceptual organ. So if I change the perception, I change actually how you view the world. If I change how you view the world, I change how you view your pain and you view yourself. And plus, we're going to start to drain the lymph when we do it. So there's a key way that we're going to do this. We're going to do what's called a 1, 2, 3, 4 stimulation. So when I show you on the different parts of your head and your neck, here's what you're going to do. You're going to start by stimulating very light. So I'll demonstrate on the back of my hand. We're going to go, first of all, really, really super feather light like this, like almost like you're barely touching it. That's going to stimulate the free nerve endings. It's going to start to decrease pain, decrease discomfort, but it's also going to open up your brain to say, this is not threatening. I'm going to be okay with this. I'm going to let you do more. So we're going to do this, and I'm going to give you the quick neural hack version. You'll probably do this for about 3 to 5 seconds. And then we're going to go into a rapid pressure vibration. So rapid pressure means I'm going to go faster and I'm going to go deeper, like this one. Faster and deeper. And then those are going to be excitatory. They're going to start to excite up the system. So now the system's ready. I'm ready. I'm good. I'm good to go, right? Then we're going to start to hit. So then we slap. And that's also going to be vibration. So that's going to be Pacinian. Then from there, we're going to do sustained pressure, slow and deep. So I'm going to have my hand and I'm going to go slow and deep with sustained pressure. And I'm going to be draining where I show you and pulling towards the heart, which is very, very key, like this. Okay. And that sustained rapid pressure means that if I go sustained pressure, slow, then I can start to speed it up a little bit. And then that's going to be all 4. The key is doing all of them together, doing them in the right way, and doing them at the right place. So I'm going to show you where I want you to do these. You're going to see a picture of me that I'm going to make a little bit bigger when I do it. Okay? I'm going to move this up, and I got to move around my mic. So here's how we're going to do it. All right? In your head, you're going to have lymph along the side of the temple. You're going to have lymph along the jaw here, along the cheekbone, right here, along this groove that you see around my nose. It's going to be behind the angle of the jaw. It's going to be under the jaw, along the side of the neck, and down into above your collarbone, right? So here's what I'm going to want you to do. I'm going to lower my headphones down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so if I do that 4-step process, the free nerve ending, Pacinian, Ruffini, and interstitial, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to take my glasses off. You're going to start here on the side of your head, and you're going to go feather light, feather light, feather light. Okay, about 3 to 5 seconds. Then you're going to go faster and deeper. So these are Pacinian. Okay. Then I'm going to go tap. I'm going to hit like this, right? So that's still Pacinian. That's the vibration one, all on the side and in the temple. And then I'm going to go Ruffini, which is staying pressure. I'm going to go here and I'm going to drain and move down towards the heart, this way, down towards the heart. And then I start to go a little bit faster, okay? Just like that. Boom. Okay, that's number 1. Then you may already start to feel a little bit of a buzz. Then I'm going to work around the cheek and into the jaw. So I'm going to go very, very light, feather light around the cheek, feather light into the jaw, and then I'm going to start to go faster, round the cheek, deeper. Then I'm going to hit the cheek, right along there, hit the side of the jaw, right near the ear. And then I'm going to go Ruffini, which means I'm going to go slow, put my fingers along the cheekbone, and move down and down towards the heart, and on the jaw and down towards the heart. Even open up your jaw like that. All right? And then I'm going to do it faster, all right? And deep like that. Woo! You may already start to get a little sinus drainage. Now I'm going to move up and show you how we're going to go underneath the jaw and then down into the neck. So now we're going to go underneath the jaw, behind the angle of the jaw, and I'm going to go feather light, then I'm going to go feather light along the side of the neck. And then remember, I'm going to go faster. You can go like this if you want, faster and deeper, and then I have to hit. So I'm going to do one at a time. Hit underneath the jaw, behind the angle of the jaw, underneath the jaw, behind the angle of the jaw. Hit the side of the neck, which is going to stimulate your vagus nerve and stimulate the lymph. And then what I got to do is I got to go the sustained pressure for Ruffini, for relaxation. So then I'm going to go here and I'm going to drain down. Come here underneath the jaw, back and down. Underneath the jaw, back and down. Just open up your neck and then do it faster. Woo! That's going to start to drain the lymph down towards your heart. That's going to be a brain blow energy burst for you. So remember to review: temple, side of the jaw, cheekbone, behind the angle of the jaw, underneath the jaw, and the side of the neck, going through them. Remember, feather light, faster and deeper, then you tap, then you go slow and deep down towards the heart, and then slow and deep, and then at a more rapid pace. Then you're going to get all of those. Very, very powerful. After you do that, then you're going to go to this. Then you're going to do the breathing technique. So you're going to breathe through your diaphragm. Here's what I want you to do. You're going to lie down on the ground or lie down on a bed. You're going to bend your knees, put your feet flat. I want you to reach over your body with your right hand, grab above your left elbow. After you grab the elbow on the left hand, you put on the left arm, you put your left hand on your left buttock cheek. You let your legs fall to the right just to what's comfortable. You keep your head relaxed and neutral. If your head feels uncomfortable, put a pillow underneath your legs. If you feel a little uncomfortable in your back, put a pillow underneath the bottom leg on the right. And then the arm on the right will keep your rib cage down. And all I want you to do is just to close your eyes, and I want you to start to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And what you'll automatically begin to do is to breathe from your belly as opposed to your chest. So if you do that for about 2 to 3 minutes, that will give you a lot of good oxygen delivery from your body and start to move the lymph and move the internal organs by movement of the diaphragm. It's an easy way to do breathing anywhere that you want, but take 2 to 3 minutes to do that after you release the lymph along the brain and in the head. After you do this, then you're going to get movement. My favorite form of movement is this. I just want you to do what's called the fall matrix. The fall matrix, if you watch me here, is I want you to, one example is to take your left hand and put it on top of your left knee. And then all I want you to do is just to keep your hand there, and you're going to go down to the ground, lie on your back, and then get back up. Keep your hand where it is. Then you're going to go down to the ground and lie on your stomach. So you can see the up and down motion, and I'm moving all different ways. There's no wrong way to do this. Just try to go slow and controlled. Then you're going to go down and lie on one side. So this up and down level changing is really going to move a lot of my body. And then you go down to the ground and you lie on the other side. And get back up. And if you're a little more hardcore, Then afterwards, after you do those, then you can do what's called a 3-point stabilization push-up, where you hold the push-up at the top of the movement. And then all I want you to do after this one is just to switch your hands and then put your right hand on there and do the same thing. Now, there's many other different ways you can do it. I just want you to take whatever hand you choose and put it on any body part that you want and just do the same thing like once a day. The idea is to get a lot of variety, a lot of variation, just move more of yourself more often. You'll see here in just a minute, then I'm going to move to where I'm actually got my hands crossing my body, right? So I take my right hand and put it on my left knee. So you can do many, many different ways. The idea is the sequence that you're going to do. The sequence that you're going to do is release the lymph up in the neck like I showed you. 2, you're going to do your diaphragmatic breathing like I showed you here. Then you're going to do the fall matrix and make sure you increase your water intake. If you don't increase your water intake, you're going to start to feel a little sick. Because when you stimulate the lymph, you're going to go through a detox. So you can expect to maybe feel a little more tiredness, a little more fatigue, maybe even get a headache. That's actually good that we want, because we're getting to move the toxins out of the body, and your body will start to respond in a positive manner, especially if you drink water. If you don't drink water, you're not going to have the success that you want to with this system. Okay? So what you're going to do is little tiny actions. Do your daily reset, breathe for 2 minutes like I showed you, and do what's called the anti-fragile fall matrix that I showed you, just going down to the ground and back up again. If you'd like to get more information from me and find some of my work, you can visit stopchasingpain.com and reach out to me personally from the website. Thank you so very much for tuning in to the virtual summit. It was indeed an honor for me to share a little bit about what I do. I thank you very much. Stay strong, stay positive, move your lymph, move more of yourself more often, easily, naturally, and simply. Dr. Perry from Stop Chasing Pain signing off. Have a great one.